This is the podcast, Playing Above the Line, where we get into the details of what it is that's made entrepreneurs and business leaders successful. Hi, I'm Dennis Sherrin, and I'm a business leader with Hartman, Blackman, and Kilgore. I've been the managing shareholder of HB&K for many years and have worked with local businesses to learn what makes them successful throughout their career.
And I'm Alan Cave. I'm also a shareholder at HB&K, a full-service accounting and business consulting firm. During our careers, Dennis and I have both been fortunate to work with many successful businesses and their owners, as well as other leaders throughout the accounting profession and beyond. We're happy to share some of their stories with you. Well, welcome to another episode of Playing Above the Line, guys. And Dennis, good to see you.
Yeah, same here, Alan.
So tell us who we're talking to today.
On this episode, we have someone who smells delicious in the studio. Just kidding, but he really does. But really, today's guest is William Stitt, better known as Billy the Bacon Man. Billy is the owner of Old 27 Grill, which is a casual dining restaurant and grocery store that makes its own house-cured bacon. If you're ever on the eastern shore of Baldwin County in Fairhope, be sure to check it out. Today, you're going to hear the story of how Billy's Bacon started out as a class project, and after years of industry experience, the business of making the best bacon around became a reality. All right, today, William, Billy, Stitt. How about that? That's what we're going to call you today. Thanks for joining the show.
Happy to be here.
Tell us a little bit about the empire of Billy and Billy's Bacon.
Well, it's definitely striking back. It's an empire, all right. It's a little bit of bacon. It's a little bit of a hamburger joint, and they both just kind of work for each other.
Well, it's so nice for you to be humble about that, but the Old 27 Grill is awesome. I know I live just a short ways away from it, and we love it. And your bacon, it is high-class bacon. Let's just say that.
Thank you very much.
Let's back up, because you mentioned before when we were first starting that you graduated from Ole Miss. So how do you get from Ole Miss to running a bacon empire?
Well,
what does that look like?
Well, first of all, hotty toddy. It's a term of endearment. It's a welcome. It's a little bit of everything. Well, that's where it all started. Grew up in Yazoo City, Mississippi. Had a lot of great traveling experiences with my dad, who sold packaging, multi-wall bags, corrugated boxes. So met tons of people in the food industry, traveling all over with him. And then when I went to Ole Miss, I was working in a little restaurant on the square, and a speech class came up, and I wrote a business model for Billy's Brands. My name is William Ernest Stitt, so I always wanted to go after the brand Bill E, B-I-L-L-E, which I did. And, Billy's Bacon, Billy's Bourbon, Billy's Bloody Mary Mix, all those kind of fun things. So I wrote that model and became a chef in a restaurant and worked real hard for them and worked for a major restaurant corporation for over 20 years, doing almost everything you can imagine. And then when I went off on my own and opened my little restaurant in Fairhope, I had a little kitchen in the back where I made bacon, and people started to buy it, and we started making it for ourselves, and people started showing up that wanted to buy it and sell it, so I had to talk to the good old government and become USDA certified. So I have a little USDA kitchen that sits behind my stage at the restaurant, so the bacon is serenaded by songwriters. You got to sing to your pork belly.
I knew there was something, and that's what it is. I didn't realize it was the serenading that did it. So how long has Old 27 been around?
Well, we're calling it Old 27 a day. That's going to change in a good way, and I'll tell you all about that. But this April will be 8 years. It's been a long, interesting 8 years, ups and downs. But it's always been Bill E's LLC. And we painted something on a piece of tin when we opened. Somebody painted Old 27 Grill, and it kind of became that. But it's actually going to become Bill E's now.
Awesome.
So many people swing by to get the bacon. They're like, I didn't even know you had a restaurant here. And then, there's not very many people that even know what 27 is anymore. So there'll be a lot of 27 memorabilia, but the whole brand is becoming Bill E's.
Let's reflect back, Billy. That's hard for me to say. I call you William.
Either one. I'll take a check to either one.
There you go. So you and I have been friends. We've climbed some mountains together in the Boy Scouts, and one of the things that you should be honored for is you're an Eagle Scout, and there's not many of those around. And if we look back at your influences over your life as an Eagle, as you talked about your time at Ole Miss, and I know you worked in a butcher shop, you worked in a restaurant, on into Ruby Tuesdays. That's where you were for a number of years. You've been in roles that had a lot of influence on you. How do you define what leadership is to you through all of those life experiences?
I met many wonderful leaders, and a lot of them didn't actually have the title, but you could tell who was in charge.
Right.
when you'd go somewhere. And a lot of times when you're in a supervisory role and you have to travel somewhere to go help fix a problem or directly fix a problem, you've got to find out who that leader is. And there's so many of them, from different areas of the restaurant to all businesses. And some of the most influential leaders to me were some owners of companies that I've met that their title on their business card said general manager.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't say CEO.
Right.
It didn't say proprietor and all that stuff.
Yeah. Let me expand on that a little bit. You told a lot of stories. I just got to ask you, you work hard. No doubt you work hard, and you love what you're doing. What's the favorite thing you like to do?
My favorite thing is to see my team smile and to watch them do what they love, and that's to serve a great hamburger, to prepare some amazing bacon. I'll break it down a little deeper. 10:30 in the morning on Wednesday, or any day, Monday through Friday, popping in when the bacon smoker's open, and they pull out the fresh bellies, and to just see everybody's face light up. That's my favorite time. Yeah.
Awesome.
I don't know if I'll be able to make it to this podcast, Dennis. He keeps talking about bacon. I'm like, God, dog. Anyway, over your career, and the restaurant industry is not easy, I wouldn't say.
It's not.
And especially when you start your own brand, and when you're having to deal with even just the USDA, requirements and that kind of thing. So what have been some of the challenges that you face, and then how have you overcome those, and have you come out better on the other side because of some of the adversity that you've probably faced, I would imagine, through the last 20, 25 years?
Well, the restaurant industry is very difficult. You can always have a plan, and it's hard to really decide how much funding you need, and it's very easy to go about this underfunded. Things are going to happen, whether you own the property or you lease it. You're going to have all kinds of things, come your way that you don't expect from, you're going to get robbed every now and then. That's going to happen, whether it's an internal deal or somebody comes in and just hits you. You're going to have a lot of government interaction. Some is very positive. Some is not. And I don't think anybody gets up in the morning going, how can we go screw things up? But there are just so many things that you have to do when you own a business that you've got to be able to be ready for those kind of things, from the health department to the American Disabilities Association to the USDA, if you even go that far, and just a lot of things like that.
So there are a lot of challenges and that kind of thing, and I would think, just to expand that a little bit, you're very dependent on your employees, and I know a lot of times in the restaurant industry, especially, they're transient. You don't have the long-term type employee. I mean, have you had to deal with that? And if so, how do you overcome that? Do you modify your training? I mean, how do you motivate maybe some unmotivated people to want to go the extra mile for you and go above and beyond, and to share your vision and your dream about your brand and your customer service and that kind of thing that's obviously important to you?
Well, it's definitely not money, because I don't have much of that. Everything I have is thrown right into my business. But, I do want to pay them fairly, and I want them to be happy. But I would say the most motivating thing I do is when I give them a role, I also give them authority. And I give them the authority to look at me and say, no, that's not going to work, or let's tweak that a bit. Then there's pushback on both sides. But if you start it off where everything is a demand, you won't hang on to them. But, I'm also a little too lax sometimes. But the authority is a piece that I think does motivate them. They know that they're in charge. They know that when I come in, I might see things and I might, change their direction a little bit to fix what I don't like. But I'm going to back up the folks that I put in charge, whether it's the general manager at my restaurant or the plant manager at my baking company.
So it's really a partnership. I mean, it's more than I'm the boss, you're the employee, or you're the doer. I mean, right. You're trying to instill a sense of ownership and partnership within them to give them some sort of sense of ownership in that way.
That's right.
Empowering and engaging your employees is so key, and particularly in the environment you've got there. So it's good. So let's talk a little bit. I think I know one of the people probably who have done this, but when you reflect back, who's influenced you most in your life? I think I know one of them fairly well.
Well, that's my father.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My best friend. Lost him 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much talking to him meant to me.
Yeah.
And boy, I really miss having those, even when he didn't answer, I knew he heard me. And I could say things to him and run ideas by him and, always come out on the right side.
Your dad had a way of telling a story to you that guided you, and you thought you were just getting told a story.
Right. There was always a lesson, some good, some bad. But if you listened and And if you didn't get the lesson then, you would definitely get it later in life.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. In the hospitality business, did you have people that you reflect back on now that help guide you or help mold how you see, how you lead?
Many of them. From the Downtown Grill in Oxford, Mississippi on the square, the owners really showed me what it's like to be an owner and to let managers manage. The different managers that I worked with and chefs in the kitchen and even the dishwasher that I started with taught me so many things. And then on into my Ruby Tuesday career, having to go and take over a store that had some drama or go help a store that's doing great but just needs more manpower. I worked for a whole lot of really visionary people that, saw that sales was the key and that, they saw that I liked doing things that were, not necessarily easy. I believed in to-go sales. I believed in catering. And then, I ended up getting the opportunity to drive the to-go and catering side of the entire company. And that was exciting for me and a lot of fun to build teams across the country that would pick up the phone and deliver food from a Ruby Tuesday. It was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. So I would imagine, Ruby Tuesday's a big operation, obviously.
It was.
So you go from that to having your own shop in Fairhope, Alabama. So compare and contrast a little bit about some of the challenges in working for a big organization, and then obviously there's a whole other set of challenges with your own company, and I think we've talked about some of those. But do the pros of one outweigh the cons or of another, or what's your thought on that?
Cash flow, of course, is the biggest drama at times. I go back and I look at so many P&Ls that I ran when I was directing the Ruby Tuesdays, and I was like, how did they really end up with any money after it was all said and done? And then, and then doing it for myself, I would try to follow a lot of those models and things, and it's just really tough to bring it to the bottom line. And that's where I'm getting better. Brought on somebody this year that's helping me, and she understands that side of it a little more, and where I can spend more time selling and talking to people.
Yeah. You're an entrepreneur. We and I both would agree that you are. It goes back to college, creating this business plan with this brand back then. So having that person there to be that operational person is wonderful and a great payoff on that. All right, so I'm out there and I'm looking for some awesome bacon. Tell me why I need to get some Billy's bacon.
I will. Be happy to tell you about that.
He's got this.
It's I started off with a simple plan, and that was to have not just good bacon, but the best pork belly and bacon in the industry. I was learning about a brand of meats called Certified Angus Beef, and they do a great job marketing their product, but they also deliver a wonderful product. So I wanted to be the CAB of pork belly. So I started off with, I've got to find the best pigs. So I don't allow any hormones, no growth antibiotics. I want the pigs to be treated right. I want to know they can go outside and play in the clover all day or go inside and write in coloring books if they want to. I want to know they're treated right for their entire life. And then the ingredients that I cure are very simple, but they're the best. The timing of the way that we cure it is designed around the way our ancestors cured meats, when they really weren't so much looking for a flavor as much as they were looking for, I have all this meat, I have to do something with it or I'm going to lose it. Or I've got to cure this meat and put it on a ship, and I don't know how long it's going to take me to get to wherever I'm going, and I might not even know where that is. So a lot of history into it, and sourcing the right hogs is the big key right now.
So you mentioned at the top of the podcast, Billy's Bacon, Billy's Bourbon. I hope you weren't kidding. So what's next? You've got, Billy's Bacon is rocking and that kind of thing. So what's the next iteration of the Billy brand? Is it Billy's Bourbon? Please say yes.
Yes.
That should happen, and I feel like some of these great companies will work with me. A lot of them use my pork belly in their tastings and pairings.
Wow.
And that's a lot of fun. But I'll tell you what's next. It's the whole hog. I don't have enough space right now to go outside of bacon and bellies, but soon I'll be able to do hams and all those other things as I grow the brand. And I want to do everything from the rooter to the tooter, I guess,
Mm-hmm. That's great. You mentioned that one of the things that makes your bacon great is the fact it gets serenaded, every night from the live music and stuff you have at the restaurant. But does it get read to as well? I'm asking the question because we always ask folks that come in, have you read any good books lately, or have you read anything throughout your career that's really made an impact on your view of leadership or kind of your entrepreneurial spirit and that kind of thing? So, or any author that has influenced you in any way?
Oh, wow. I read a book not too long ago, and I can't remember the author, but it was called Profit First.
Yeah.
And that's been helpful. To be honest with you, I've been reading a lot of devotionals lately, and that's been a big blessing. I've got a stack of about 3 books that everybody tells me I need to read that I'm getting to. But does do the bellies get red too? yeah, they do every day.
That's great. And then so we go to your iTunes account or your Spotify account, open your playlist. What's on Billy's playlist? What do you listen to?
Wow, man, that's a great question. My memory's not what it used to be, so I can't really throw out all my 80s tunes like I used to.
So it's 80s rock as opposed to classic country? You might have somebody to draft with you, Dennis, now. I don't know.
Definitely going to be some country in there, but there's going to be some No Parking on the Dance Floor. There
we go.
There's going to be some Depeche Mode and maybe even some Violent Femmes from back a while back. But just stuff that REM for days.
Okay, there you go.
And a bunch of the bands that I listened to at Ole Miss. We had the Marlowe Boys play the other night, and one of them used to be a singer for Telluride, which used to play at my fraternity house at Ole Miss.
Oh, wow.
Well, I remember that. I've heard Telluride.
Yeah, I have too. I've had a couple of fraternity parties now, no less, but that's good. I've heard rumors, and I need you to tell me this story. I heard you've got some famous customers for your bacon.
We do.
Yeah.
We have quite a few that I can't mention, but I will tell you, Jerry Lee Lewis, he and his son get on the phone and they'll call and order bacon. They will not get on the internet and order it, but they will call by phone.
That is awesome.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of people will send their chef or their assistant to come by and get it.
Yeah.
Later on, you'll kind of find out who they are, and it's kind of fun.
So where can we find Billy's Bacon?
You can definitely find it in Manning's Piggly Wigglies around here.
Okay.
You can find it in Greer's, Allegra, the Old Shell Market, and several other Domkey Market is a cool little place that has it, and then a lot of restaurants, of course. I mean, all up and down Dauphin Street and all over Mobile and Eastern Shore and Pensacola and soon to be New Orleans.
That's great. Well, William, we're going to, as we wrap up, I just want to say thank you. And folks, I want to again highlight, if you haven't been to what's going to be Billy's Grill soon, Old 27 Grill right now, it's fantastic. It's a great atmosphere, and you can listen to the songwriters sing to that bacon. And if you're there at the right time and you're nice to that owner, you might even get to tour the bacon curing facilities, as this person has been able to do himself, and get out there and enjoy it. And thank you for being a friend, first of all, and thank you for coming and doing our podcast.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Billy. Enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Wow, Dennis, I tell you, other than being the best smelling guest that we've had all season so far, Bill had some great stuff. You know, one of the things that kind of struck me is he's committed to making the best bacon and pork belly on the planet. And so even before going out and expanding his empires, he says, you know, he's going to make sure that he gets that nailed. And I think a lot of times that's what we miss. I mean, we don't shotgun it. You know, we need to make sure that we concentrate on what we do well and get that nailed down before we move on. Yeah,
he definitely has focused in his niche, and no doubt. If I reflect back on what he talked about, one thing that sat in my mind was I need to let my managers manage. That great thing of being able to let go to allow himself to function in his unique abilities, which is being this creative, innovative person that he is. If you want to learn more about Bill when he's not cooking or eating bacon, he's usually blogging about it. So his blog contains recipes, news, and other fun facts about the greatest meat on earth. Check it out on his website at billesbacon.com. That's BILLESBACON.com. Well, thanks for listening to our podcast today. To never miss an episode, subscribe to Playing Above the Line at iTunes and anywhere else you get your podcast. And be sure to leave us a rating. We'd love to know what you think about our show.
To contact us or to stay connected, follow us on social media at HBKCPAS on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Thanks for listening.